Afghanistan along with the Soviet troops in 1989, but the war still continues. This week's video diary is by photojournalist Nick Danziger, and in an emotional and at times harrowing account, it records his return and his determined efforts to help some of the children caught up in this forgotten conflict.
I've come to see Mike Collins. Should we have?
It's Donna. I'm in the reception. Is she in the building?
Can your name, please? Yeah, Nick Danziger.
No,
Danziger.
Sometimes photojournalists can wait for the phone to ring to get assignments to take them all over the world. But usually, you have to sell your own ideas to picture editors.
Excuse me, do you know where Mike Collins is?
Mike Collins, I don't actually know.
Do you know who might know?
No.
Mike Collins?
Yeah, it's of
Thank you.
the actor that we're after, plus two other characters.
Excuse me, Mike Collins?
Yeah, hello.
Picture editor. Nick Danziger.
Oh, hi.
I called you earlier on
Right.
downstairs. Would you have a look at my...
Sure, you got those pictures with you?
Yeah.
Should we go to the library?
Great, fantastic.
I wanted to go back to Afghanistan for a very special reason, but I was hoping that I could interest a magazine in a photo feature while I was there.
So I just put them up here?
Please.
I think you'll have an idea. I mean, basically the film I'm making is about the children of Kabul, and it will center on a mental asylum where there are some orphan children. The children are there because the economy is really shot, there's nothing there anymore. And the idea is actually to try and get the children out of the asylum into a different environment, maybe rent a house for them. There are 13 children, but apparently there might be even more there now. But generally speaking, the story is these children who run the economy. They're children from all over Afghanistan who have sort of flocked to the capital, and they now work as car mechanics, money lenders. They also work on building sites.
I think that's the element that's been missing. The actual sort of human response as to how does life continue under these conditions is not seen. It's like it was a media war. And there's also this thing of, after the war, the sort of media goes home and then what?
Yeah.
So I think it's a very vital story to tell. I really want to go ahead with this.
Yeah.
It's good timing. It's good you dropped in there.
Last time I landed in Kabul, the capital was under siege, surrounded and struggling for survival. As far as I knew from tiny bits of news coverage that had trickled through to the west, the situation was still the same. When the Soviet Union withdrew its troops from Afghanistan in 1989, there was a large bustling community of journalists jamming the telephone lines and competing for the best hotel rooms. But as the last Soviet soldier drove out of Kabul, the media left in plane loads to chase another story somewhere else. There was still a press office, and the first thing I had to do was to report to them. When I arrived at the daily briefing, I discovered a new Soviet weapon in operation. Having failed to conquer Afghanistan with 120,000 troops, they were trying an aerobic workout tape. With only a handful of visiting journalists, the government continues to go through the motions of telling its side of the story, even if nobody is listening. I registered with them, but I had no intention of following their itinerary or being shepherded by a minder.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, the 500 prisoners who have been released, was this in Kabul? In the central jail, yes.
I found a house to rent in the suburbs and immediately applied for permission to visit Marastun. Marastun means asylum. It's an institution for the insane. and it's also where the project I had come here for would begin. Until then, all I could do was wait, get back in touch with Kabul, and visit some old friends. The house with its walled garden could have been in a leafy suburb of Paris, but no matter where you live in Kabul, the war is never far away. When you can't hear the rocket attacks, there is the constant drone of the massive Soviet airlift resupplying the government. The planes use flares to deflect missiles fired by the Mujahideen rebels. They are spectacular to watch. The only problem is they kill people. Some are still burning when they land. I'm on my way to the Italian embassy to see Father Panagati. Father Panagati has been here for the last 25 years. You have him chained this time?
No, I was afraid of his beard because I don't have it. It's an appointment.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know the moment?
No.
No, cat.
Do you have permission to be on film?
You do whatever you want. Anyway.
You're the first man to say that.
No, anyway, you know, I'm already on the blacklist. So,
I have something for you.
Ah, c'est vous savez, on est des journal de 21. Wow. Leicester City Football Club, don't tell me. Wow, that's really something. Don't tell me. You know, maybe Leicester in the whole world doesn't have such a supporter as me, but I'm never there. Well, we lost 2-0 last night with Oldham, but it's a pity. But we are good anyway. We are going to be saved. Maybe we go to first division next time.
And play Chelsea, the champions.
No, Chelsea is not doing badly, okay? But I don't think that, I think they won 2-1 Coventry.
Yeah.
If I'm sure, you know...
They won the first game. I heard they won 2-1 to Derby, first game.
Yes, it was 1:30 in the night, okay?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden a bomb came here, and I was woken up, and this is why I heard the results.
They dropped the bomb just in time so you could hear the results.
Well, we are used to that. I don't even care about the bombs.
Do you still have a drawer full of flares?
Flares,
Less than before.
Well, but we had a bomb. You don't know the bomb.
Yep,
okay?
it was close to here.
You know my house?
Yes.
This door went there. That window went there. And these two windows fell over here. Oh, it was terrible. It took me 3 months to fix my house. Now listen. This one fell just yesterday 1 meter from me. Well,
these are the flares that come down.
This is the bottom of the new flares. Okay? But this might do nothing except if it falls straight on the head. But these are terribly cutting. And sometimes they're still burning. And we have a lot of children who are burned in the Indira Gandhi hospital by the flares, especially those around Kabul. I find this criminal. I don't know why they don't find another landing place, these planes. They cannot understand.
Who's this one?
This is the last one. There were 7, and he's the only one who was left here. And we want to keep him because he's very good.
And what's his name?
Fred the best. Because he eats up all my best flowers. Okay, Fred the best. Say hi, Nick. Okay. We had 36 bombs, okay, in a radius of 500 meters more or less. Iraqi embassy was bombarded, radio, the palace, the Baluchi house, okay, a lot, Ariana Hotel, a lot. 36 bombs. They are afraid of the bombs. And by the fact that during the bomb they were with me, and when the bomb came and I went through the door, they sheltered themselves under my legs. Every time we have a rocket coming or a bomb coming, they come to me. Look at them.
Vale.
Faro. Leicester to the top.
Goal, Lineker. After the Soviet withdrawal, everyone expected the rebels, the Mujahideen, to march like a conquering army into Kabul from the hills. It didn't happen. Instead, the enemy remained outside and surrounding Kabul. Life in the city is like being inside the walls of a huge ancient castle under siege. Food and everything else is in short supply, but somehow at a price you can get hold of most things. The Civil War has lasted for more than a decade. With most men dead or fighting, there's a shortage of men at work. Children have become the backbone of what's left of the economy.
He doesn't know. Maybe he's 3 years old.
He doesn't know. Does he have any toys at home or?
He doesn't have any.
Is it tough, the work here? Is it difficult, tough?
Yes.
What does he want to be when he grows up?
He wants to marry.
He wants to be married.
What is left is a cannibal economy. Many things that would be scrapped or thrown away in the West are converted, reshaped and rebuilt into something useful.
Each 500 Afghani. 500 Afghani?
Yes.
A pair of shoes made out of a worn-out tire cost 35 pence, but that's half a week's wages. For less than £1, a 12-year-old will fit the wrong engine to an old car and somehow still get it working. When you stand at the side of a road and watch an amputated bus being pushed by on carts, and you can't understand what they're going to do with it, you realize that need really is the mother of invention. In Kabul, ingenuity is not just a career advantage, it's a necessity for survival. Until recently, the city's children attended school for half a day each day, but one rocket landing in a crowded playground could kill dozens of children, so they closed the schools. Now they work from dawn to dusk for as little as 10 pence a day. It isn't pocket money. Often one child will be the sole breadwinner for a whole family. For the last 2 years, a curfew has been imposed on the city. All movements through the street are monitored and controlled.
I'm here walking up the driveway now to Maristan. I'm not too sure what I'm going to find here, how the situation has changed. Last time I came here, at breakfast time, you see quite a few of the men chained, shackled around the ankles and legs. They're the violent inmates, as it were, of this compound. And set amongst these people are these orphan children and children whose mothers are in the infamous Pulichaki prison.
This is the mentally disturbed patients, the male.
In here.
Tom, point was test. No,
Why is he doing this?
چی شده میگه؟ اینو بابا چی شده؟ اینو بابا
He doesn't know why he's doing that?
چرا؟ چی شده میگه؟ ها؟ اینجا چی شده؟
This wasn't my first visit to Marastun. I had been here many times before and nothing had changed. The inmates were wearing the same torn clothing, sitting in the same places, doing the same things, which meant doing nothing.
How long has she been here, this one?
6 years.
She's been here 6 years?
Yes.
And how old is she?
About 11 years.
And her family?
She had been brought here for someone just, she was wandering in there.
So they found her?
They found her.
And she can't talk?
Nobody knows.
سلام. سلام.
The first time I ever came to Marastun, I was horrified by what I saw. But the biggest shock of all was discovering a group of healthy children living amongst the inmates. They are abandoned here because they are orphans or because their parents are in prison. They never leave Marastun. With little else to judge by, they often grow up believing the insanity around them is normal.
بله.
Ay, yo inakçılık meşe. Ay mala. Ay mala.
I'm going to point to each one. And when I can hear the crazy people in the background. What's her name?
Ganga. Ganga. Fatima.
سلام علیکم. شناس. قامسیس است. برایش که آتیش است. شناس. خیلی. وای خدا جان. خدا آتیش چطور است؟
This is why I had returned to Afghanistan. And for once I wanted to do more than just take photographs. I wanted to try to get these children out of Marastun and into a house of their own with proper care and attention. I wasn't sure how to go about it all. What I did know was that I had to speak to the president and administrator of Marastun. Without their permission and support, I knew I couldn't do anything.
Every time I come here, I'm devastated by what I see. Do you know what I mean by devastated? I mean, it is very, very sad that children should have to live in these conditions. And I know there's lots of problems. It's not just renting a house. There's also the problem of electricity, transport.
Water problem.
And you know, when I show pictures of what is happening, people usually are also very sad about it. But it's impossible for me to say people are going to do something, but I can say that I'm going to try and do something. So, I mean, maybe if she can study this, because I'm now here for some time. But she's just got to remember, I'm one person.
She says that she will study and she will inform you about this matter after taking decision and after discussing with other colleagues.
Yeah.
The staff at the asylum didn't say no, but they didn't jump around with enthusiasm either. They also probably thought that I wasn't serious. It wouldn't be the first time visitors had been shocked by what they had seen, had promised to help, and then forgotten all about Marastun. I'm sure they thought that in a couple of weeks I'd be in another part of the world on another assignment. However, I was determined to do what I could to see this through. But with increased rocket attacks and strong rumors of an impending Mujahideen invasion of Kabul, the authorities had bigger things on their mind.
I heard the bang from this rocket and we're now going towards where it actually fell.
مجاهدین من میگم مجاهدین مسلمان نیست. همین افغانات زمیدان هست گانش سک شاشه کنه. او پدر نالت طایف هسته. بیشرف هستن که به می رقم میکنه. او یک مجاهد نیست. او که مجاهد باشه این کار نمیکنه. او مجاهد نیست. او سگ است. او خود فروخته است. او پیسه خورده. برای دولت همی پیغام دارم که ما کلگی ما حاضر هستیم با دولت خود. ما با پدر نالت ها می جنگیم. می زنیم. ما پشتیبان به دولت خود هستیم. ما پشتیبان به خاک خود هستیم. ما پشتیبان به 4 تا اینی تو یتیم و یسیر و بیچاره و ریسفید خود هستیم. ما یه آرامی میخواهیم. ما این رقم نمیخواهیم که کلدار میگیره و دلار میگیره و از امریکا میگیره و او پدر نالت بر از راکت روان میکنه و او در سرای ما فیر میکنه. ما این نمیره داریم که ما دولت ما را اجازه بده ما زن و مردی ساده هستیم. ما میجنگیم. ما میجنگیم. خلاص.
خیلی ممنون.
میجنگیم.
It was easier for me to run around making day trips into the rubble of the city from the comparative safety of my house in the suburbs. The few Westerners who still lived in Kabul did not stay long. They were mostly from the International Red Cross and the United Nations, posted here for short periods. This expatriate community quickly realized I was around, and I was invited to lunch by a group of nurses.
$60 a night. Now, the croissants are delicious. Thank you. Very nice. Probably is. You have to think of desperation. That doesn't look nice, that day.
This camera's become my third arm. I think I ought to feed it.
I mean, it's worse than looking at the patient, so it's really a nightmare.
There you are.
Trying to get 6 grown men to understand how they should move a bed with traction in the easiest, simplest way. I mean, just everybody's talking and everybody's lifting, nobody's doing anything.
Would you like a drink as well?
It's like a circus.
I told the nurses about the children's house I was trying to organize. They suggested I visit their hospital where there were some children who had been orphaned by the war and would need somewhere to stay when they were discharged. The International Committee of the Red Cross has been in Kabul for 2 years. Since they arrived, they have been constantly expanding, and like everybody, they have to improvise with what's available. The hospital itself is a rambling mixture of structures. The entrance is made up of goods containers, as is their mortuary. The hospital is for war injuries only. They accept all injured and don't ask questions about where they come from. This often means that the enemy are brought into the government-controlled city to be operated on and are then escorted out to be returned to their homes.
The articulating bones, dropping the bottles. I've just finished explaining to him that the sooner we can take the arm off, the better. He's had his last penicillin, so in fact if he eats and drinks adequately, that can be removed, so it's just until he's eating and drinking.
2/3 of all casualties in this hospital are women and children, injured by rockets and mines from both sides. The demand for beds is always ahead of capacity. It opened originally for 50 patients. Within a year, there were 250. God knows how many there are now.
نام چیه؟
نام دستگیر.
دستگیر؟ از کجا؟
شمالی.
شمالی؟
قرباغ.
چند سال هستی؟
11 ساله.
11 سال؟ چند ماه اینجا؟
2 ماه اینجا.
2 ماه؟
جوانی زروی جانم رگا کوی تو میشا.
He's had skin grafts on this leg.
Skin graft chara.
He's right into skin grafts, this kid.
Family skin graft?
New skin, nice skin. And just have to wait for the grand unveiling.
Look at this one, she laughs. What happened? She got a bullet through her leg?
A shelling injury to her leg. She had a fractured femur and she went home. I mean, she had fractured tibia and she's come back and had bone graft, which has done well, and now she's going home. Didn't you? You have to come back and have your plaster on.
So you're happy with the chest? There's nothing... Okay. Some animals are supposed to have air in their lungs.
So what have the x-rays shown up?
I asked the doctor to have a look at them, and he says there's air in them, but you're supposed to have air in the lungs. I think the damage is to her neck, and she doesn't seem to be able to speak, so I think it's probably her voice box. The lungs actually look healthy, but she's probably got a lot of blood and things in the throat. So I'm just going to take down the neck bandage and see what's underneath. And she may well have been shot through the throat, and it's just exactly where her voice box is, and she can't speak. So probably it's gone through the vocal cords, and so all this wet breathing that we can hear is probably actually in her throat, because the chest x-ray seems to be clear. This young man's been with us for about 2.5 months, I suppose, and his house was rocketed with a shell, and all of his family. No, just outside in the provinces. And we think he probably lay around for about 24 hours or more, with all the rest of his family dead around him. And he had some very bad injuries to legs, to his tummy. And as you see, we haven't been able to get him very fat. He's had about 5 operations now.
He looks like a little old man.
Did he come like that or what?
No, he came a little bit fatter. He's 12 years old, in fact, but you wouldn't think to see all the ribs. And in fact, although he appears quite normal at night time, he has this very eerie habit. You hear him singing. They tell us it's songs about Najibullah and about the Mujahideen, but he doesn't get enough sleep. In his legs. But each time he goes for operation, we don't ever expect to see him again, and then he pulls through. But he's had a neighbour, a young girl, looking after him all the time. He's probably got, he gets them twisted.
How come they're so thin? I mean, is this
part of it is that he doesn't eat enough. The things he likes are watermelon, fruits. He's got no mother and he misses her terribly, terribly badly. And basically he's wasting away. No father, the whole family was killed, and the girl who has been looking after him is just a neighbour.
But feeding him intravenously, that doesn't help?
We tried. He's even got a tube here, you see, going in directly into his tummy, to which we can put milkshake. But there's only so much fluid you can actually absorb at one time. And he's had several laparotomies, which is opening up the abdomen to look around. He had a hole right up the perineum. I mean, that's his thigh. And it's absolutely, I can get my...
And it's not a disease or anything?
We don't think so. I suppose it's a possibility he might have TB. He's had lots of tests for liver function. And he just stays awake. He doesn't get enough sleep, and of course you use twice as much food. He just stay awake day and night.
And how old is he?
He's 12 years old. And but we think he's probably, not surprisingly, a little bit mentally disturbed by lying around for a whole day with all his family dead around him.
Pulling faces out.
Yeah.
And how long did you say he's been here?
He's been here probably for about 2.5, nearly 3 months.
The staff at the hospital tried everything to keep this young boy's spirits up. His name is Kadar. With his body wasting away, he was surviving on strength of spirit alone. One of the nurses had made him a mask.
What was he saying? What was he saying?
She's looking embarrassed. She'll come on. What's he saying?
Actually, he sang some love song, which is very difficult to translate for you.
That's why you've all gone pink. That's the guy.
Can you tell me what's happened here?
چند بجه برد
پنج بجه 4 بجه بود
It was a shell injury in Shamali yesterday.
یا وقت نان بود
Three of the other member of the family has died.
Three died from the same family? Why did it take him so long to get here?
Most of the time they have transport difficulty to come to Kabul.
and maybe they are busy with the right person. They finish them and then came back here.
Does he have any other children who are okay?
Just one is left and 3 others died.
This is the one that is left?
Yes.
The other is
People coming in. Five children died and 3 were his children. You look at all these children coming in, it's obviously highly disturbing, but Jesus Christ, you know, this is when you think, how much longer does this go on for? Because this happens every day. I mean, I don't know how these incredible nurses and doctors cope with it every day, and then you talk to the parents, and the parents, you know, this man's lost 3 children, and this is the last remaining child, all in the same attack, so Jesus. For once, I used official channels to get permission to visit government troops outside Kabul. The military situation is a complicated web of national divisions and superpower interference. Although Presidents Bush and Gorbachev shook hands and the Soviet Union pulled its troops out of Afghanistan, the Afghan government still receives all its military supplies from the Soviets. In fact, Afghanistan receives 4.5 times its gross national product in armaments. Originally, their goal was to impose a communist social order, but now they are just trying to survive. Their enemy, the Mujahideen, have as many reasons for fighting the government as they have factions within their own forces. They get their weapons and supplies mainly from the United States, but also the United Kingdom, China, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan and Iran. Afghanistan is caught in a time warp, where the superpowers continue to fight a war by proxy. It's as if they're reluctant to give up the Cold War. One side fires indiscriminately into the towns and cities, whilst the other bombards the mountains and plains. Who fired first and who's defending who has been forgotten. It's difficult to keep track of the constantly changing allegiances. Some Mujahideen join the government for money, while some of the government troops defect to the Mujahideen. And to add to the confusion, some commanders have switched sides several times during the course of the war.
Rambo?
Rambo Amerika.
Boxer. Rambo خوب. ها؟ Commandant. Commando.
I had been in Kabul for almost a month, and at last the authorities in Maristun contacted me. They had made a decision about the project. I went to the children's room to see the president of the asylum. He told me he had some good news. Not only had they decided to go ahead with the project, he wanted to show me a derelict building some distance from the grounds which we could use.
So, for example, this would be one of the bedrooms?
Yes.
There's even a bicycle here.
The whole building could be arranged.
And what about water and electricity here?
Yes.
So far, so good. I had a building, it was rent-free, but it was a mess. They made it clear they could not afford to renovate it. I had been trying to raise funds, but now I really had to find the money.
And the water works here?
But for the time being, no water, but
Yeah.
it can be.
Shower.
There is a shower.
And what would happen about the cooking? Would they...
There is another room that could be used as a kitchen.
Yeah? I'm just going to have a look here.
There are 3 more rooms. One is here, it is good because of for the winter time.
I think this is great, huh? I would be happy to live here.
Nice place.
Many of the above categories of children have no possibility of finding appropriate shelter.
The United Nations allowed me to use their office, and one of their volunteers offered to help. Getting the building gave me an excuse to write again for money to organizations and individuals all over the world. With all my begging letters in the post, all I could do was wait. Meanwhile, I had managed to get permission from the Ministry of State Security to take the kids out of Maristun to the zoo. That's the equivalent of asking MI5 if it's okay to take a bunch of school kids on a day trip. For some of the children, it would be the first time outside the grounds of the asylum for 3 years. Like most kids, they enjoyed the zoo, or maybe they were just thrilled to get out anywhere for the day. I was just amazed that in the middle of a war, with a large part of the population on the brink of starvation, they had a zoo at all. I wasn't surprised to find out that half the animals were missing. They had been eaten by urban poachers on midnight raids.
One of the things that ever happened is
It keeps them all herded
Fanti fanti. Pufkunak fanti fanti.
Fanti fanti.
Pufkunak fanti fanti.
Fuskunam fanti fanti.
Pufkunak fanti fanti.
Fuskunam fanti.
Pufkunak fanti fanti. Pufkunak fanti fanti.
Salam.
Kudi.
Annie, who worked in intensive care at the hospital, used her day off to help me take the kids out. As a Red Cross nurse, she had seen and become used to a variety of horrors of poverty and war. But the kids amongst the inmates of Marastun had really shocked her. In a strange way, that was kind of reassuring because the depth of tragedy at the hospital had made me almost doubt the urgency of getting the kids out. The day after we had taken the kids to the zoo, I went back to the hospital. I wanted to thank Annie for her help, and I had brought a present for Kadar.
I've come to see Kadar because he's apparently not doing at all well at the moment. I brought him a little present.
No. Onda fica toma lá. Ne onda fica sai tu?
He's not doing so well today, huh?
No, he's not.
He can't see anymore?
No, I don't think he can. But he still eats. He has a sister who's supposed to come and be with him.
It's not his sister, I don't know.
No, this one is not.
No, but can you tell him I bought him this plate?
Tu lava el torda. Taiko. Lolo. Ma.
So you can't see. بزن دیگه میتونیش که چه این دقیقه نیمه تو کاکات یاد داری نه؟ یادت آمد؟ نه سلام دادی که؟ اسمت کتش نه؟
سلام
از کم نگه چه سایل نمیکنی؟ نه کم دوش سایل میکنی؟ ها؟ دیو این نکن این طرفی اوزانش کنم نمیشه
کسنیگه کای لبی جوی تازه باشه همی یاری که دارم زنده باشه همی یاری که دارم جان برابر سری جان کندنی مستاده باشه
Do you know what happened exactly?
Yes.
How did it happen?
He was on the mountain with the ships. Maybe he was walking, then it exploded.
Gel mi gel gel çaparka.
She died.
I was always asking people what the war was about. But how can you make sense from a situation when an 8-year-old girl is killed by a piece of shrapnel on her way home from the bakery, and nobody even knows which side is responsible? Everybody presumed that Kadar's father had died with the rest of his family, but I had recently heard that he had actually survived. Somebody had to tell him how bad Kadar was and how much he needed him. Nobody else would agree to take the message to his village, so I decided to go myself. It was not an easy place to get to. The only chance I had was if I could persuade a militia group to take me.
There's a young militia guy with his Kalashnikov. Salam, Tariq. چند سال هستی؟ چند سال هستی؟ چند؟ 15. He's 15 years old.
The militia are hated by everybody. They used to be mujahideen, but they changed sides when the government offered them more money. Some of the richest men in the country are militia commanders. I remembered the old line left over from the days of the British Empire. You can buy people all over the world, but you can only rent an Afghan. This was Kadar's village. I didn't bother looking for street names or house numbers. Wherever he had lived, it was just a pile of rubble. This building is the former King Zahir Shah's uncle's house. It's incredible. Everywhere, everything totally devastated. And you think that this is the same all around the country. Pretty scary. This was a hotel in Bagman, and obviously it hasn't seen any guests in over a decade. It's always pretty scary walking off the main road, not only because of the shooting, but there's also a lot of mines everywhere. So as I walk, I try to look on the ground, but obviously pretty impossible, as you can see, to detect anything. Quite extraordinary. This was a village that was a sort of summer country resort for people living in Kabul, and this hotel used to be frequented by many foreign tourists. I didn't find Kadar's father. I searched the surrounding countryside and met nobody. I couldn't see who was shooting who. There were only the sounds of fighting. I began to get worried. Nobody had turned up to collect me. Eventually, a militia commander arrived and took me back to Kabul in his Mercedes.
Sing sad songs about his family. Чимиги? Big vertorda, ne? Big vertorda. Tu big vertorda, verdad? Solo? Ты что-то пришло? Реально?
Is this the first time this happened?
Tidak siapa yang ketulisnya? Sure.
Have you, the nurse knows this?
Ти сега нарс гъвтини брус?
Truly came and saw? I stayed with Kedar through the night. Off-duty nurses and staff came to see him as if paying their last respects. When I first came to the hospital, I was thinking of Kedar as one of the first children to make use of the new house. Over the last 2 months, I was surprised at how attached to him I had become. He was still alive when I had to leave him. I had an appointment to keep at Marastun. One of my letters had found a sympathetic response. The Norwegian Red Cross sent a representative to see the children's circumstances for himself.
There must be one up near the kitchen. Salam alaikum.
Salam Yama. Yama, چطور هستی؟ چطوری؟
See, this is what they do. They all come up once they know you.
Oh,
Yeah.
salam.
Salam.
I'm losing my bag, huh?
Salam.
چطوری؟
Cookie? Oh, you need a big heavy glove, huh? Yeah. I have no boy, yeah? Maybe I should take you with me to my country.
Salam.
No way.
I think they want us to come to the...
Oh, salam. Salam, چطوری؟ خوبی؟ Look and hey. I think she hasn't gotten it.
This one? Just a little bit, just a little bit.
I showed the Norwegian what was probably the strongest evidence of the need to move the children. The 11-year-old girl who had been found wandering in the bazaar 6 years ago. Then she was an abandoned but sane 5-year-old. After 6 years in Marastun, she still had no name, and she had been socialized into the insanity around her. After he had seen Maristun, the Norwegian Red Cross representative had immediately decided to back the project as far as renovating the building. We went to the money market in Kabul, which has none of the slick trappings of the stock exchange, but much of the activity is just the same. Everybody here operates on this unofficial market. Even the government is sometimes forced to borrow money from the dealers.
It's a euro check?
It's a euro check, yes.
085?
You remember my number? I'm a good customer in your house.
Yeah.
Huh?
Your card number is very short.
Very short. I remember it myself. Yes. $3,500. What is the rate today?
600. Okay.
I thought we were friends.
You want, but
we were friends, huh? Today I want.
Yes, sketch dollar rate.
Okay. So you give me 635 then, the euro check.
630 is not okay, sir?
No, 630. You know, this is for children, poor little children, and this money goes to them, to the house where they shall live. 635?
Yes, sir.
But the rest on this side.
I thought you only saw this in movies of bank robberies.
Lot of money, huh? Suitcase will be the handshake. So, off we go. You think we can carry this?
We were well on our way, but I still had to find money to run the place when the renovation was completed. I kept in regular contact with the Red Cross hospital. Kedar was still alive. They had operated on him again and amputated one of his legs. As he woke from the anesthetic, his father was sitting by his bed. Kedar immediately started to improve.
Hey, Kedar.
His father had been at the bedside of his dying wife. Having lost his other children, he didn't even know Kedar had survived the rocket attack.
Everyone thought that he wouldn't survive. And a week ago, he couldn't see, he didn't eat, they had to give him morphine, and now he's okay. He's getting better, he eats a lot, he can see.
He's now going to try and get up.
خوب است. Hey.
بسنگم میرم و مادر دعا کو اموتن خواه شدم صبر خدا کو علا گلدان ندانم.
Shall we go? Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very well. How was your jogging this morning?
Oh, excellent. Oh, I'm in big shape.
What is this? You do everything here. You make the coffee.
Yeah, the cleaner's right. It upsets Nadji actually. I didn't realise how much when he sees me cleaning. He always comes and grabs the cloth, but I tell him in England it's nursing job. Don't I, Nadji? It's nurse's job in England. Cleaning. No. He gets very upset.
I'm cleaning it.
No, I do it, but in England.
You're switching jobs.
Yeah.
He becomes the nurse, and he becomes the porter.
She is my sister.
Yeah.
Your sister.
She is a big girl. Nice girl.
Nice girl.
Nice girl.
I hope she is if she's your sister.
She is kind girl. She is my. She is my sister.
Yeah. Am I your older sister, Nadji Buller, or your younger sister?
I 44. 44 here.
You can be my big brother then, huh?
Yeah.
So that's sound only though.
No, sound too.
Sound too?
And have your picture too. I don't know if you're in the picture.
Oh yeah. I have one brother in London.
Where does your brother live in London?
In London, yeah.
Yeah, but where, do you know?
Yeah, I know. In W2.
NW2?
Yeah. Foreign Army, something like this. Cleveland Gardens.
Yeah. You do this a lot every day?
You mean
Taking blood?
Of course.
Do you know what a vampire is? A vampire? One hand I hold the camera, and the other hand you take the blood.
But take care with your hand.
Which hand? This one?
This one.
While I was giving blood and talking to the Afghan nurse about her brother, who lives in London, NW2, we heard an explosion near the hospital. Within minutes, casualties were arriving from a rocket that had exploded in a coal yard, where Kabul's poorest residents had been queuing since dawn.
Yavaş. Hoş vatandaş.
Two kids on the same side.
Bur, elok aşkı bur. Bur, elok.
Sıfır 15, 012, 025. Ne sigara?
Do you know how many people have come in this morning so far?
We received 33 just in 15 minutes maybe.
And 2 days ago you had the same problem, no?
2 days ago we received also 45. In fact, it was yesterday.
And what will happen if more patients arrive at the gate now? What will you have to do in this?
We'll have to transfer more patients to other hospitals because we have now 4 surgeons working and we cannot cope with more patients. We have 4 surgical teams
all working at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we have... Oh, no, tu peux pas laisser ça comme ça, regarde.
Yeah, they told us in OPD.
But you cannot leave it like that. It's bleeding.
No,
You
yeah.
have to cover it.
Yeah, we're going to. But they need places up there also.
Okay.
We can do it in here, no problem.
Yeah,
No.
But just somebody can open the doors.
Biggie, darwaza.
You already got bed.
Yeah, bleeding going to last.
Small splinter here and here.
I think it's a little bit...
But I can't see anything on the lateral.
How many have died so far?
7. And 1 from theatre, I think, as well. So.
What's the problem?
بدرت میگم بدرسی بانیم ها مثل چی وری غلط داخل شده
یعنی میشه
و این برآمدن مشکل بانم
نفر امام به مریاتس
چی کردی این کارتش کجاست
بیا بریم با تو بیا
This is the morphine. He's checking from relatives.
نه آقا من در آزا آقا نفر رو چچیلی وحیدی
است اونجاست شما برای کسی میگه
تا پیش نمیشه برو با برو تا پیشون
I wanted to see where the rocket had fallen. I was nervous as I approached the crowd who was still gathered around the coal yard. I was worried that they might associate me with the source of the rocket that had killed their relatives. It had been fired by the Mujahideen, but had probably been supplied by the United States.
ماجر قد نشام خورد شد پیش ماجر قد نشام کچی خاله وی
Every day, 10 or 15 months die in Afghanistan. Rocket is done from Pagman to the city. Yes. Today's come here. Takriban 80 months died.
80 people died.
Yes. From 80 died, 35 is
injured.
Yes, injured. All that came rocket. It's no useful.
Not useful.
It is no useful. You made the picture. Afghan died, you made picture. Why? I question for you, from you.
I don't know now.
No?
I'm trying. Because I want to show...
Where did you come from?
I come from England.
England?
And I want to show what is happening. You understand?
Which radio?
BBC.
BBC?
Yeah.
It's not useful.
But what do you think is useful? What is useful?
Useful, it's useful you rocket not come here. You don't rocket, you don't bring rocket from the Mujahideen. Do you know?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Rocket ba Mujahideen rawan nakne. Mera rawi makne. Yo.
Rocket attacks on that kind of scale are not unusual. They happen almost every day somewhere in Kabul. At times there can be over 30 attacks in one day, leaving hundreds dead and injured. But life goes on and it's business as usual. After 12 years of war, what else can they do? After a few weeks, Kadar left the hospital to be fitted with an artificial leg. He was lucky, maybe because he was favored by the staff. He was at the top of the long waiting list for limbs. Kadar had obviously come a long way. For the first time in the 3 months since I had known him, he cried like an ordinary child who was frightened by his surroundings.
No, you can do it without any problem. But it's okay. It's fine. Anyway, he cries sometime before you touch him. So the best, okay?
Stop. 20 million mines litter the Afghan countryside, so it's not surprising that the manufacture of artificial limbs is Afghanistan's fastest growing industry. There is a waiting list of 4,000 people in Kabul alone. The demand for children's prosthesis is a particular problem because they need to be refitted every 6 months.
You can tell us he should not be afraid. I cannot cut in him, okay? He should not be afraid.
He can sing, you know. You tell him to sing a song.
بخوام یک بین دیگه وقت آخر از خلاص دیگه
الا گل دانه 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 یا در جان آمده نمودی خانه الا گل دانه دانه بسنگر میره و مادر دعا کن امودم خوشدم صبری خدا کن الا گل دانه دانه الا مادر به مویای سفیدت بگه
بس تشکر.
The building work at the children's house was well underway, and now we had more support. UNICEF agreed to pay for the sanitation, and the Princess Sadruddin Agha Khan, in response to one of the letters I had sent out, had agreed to make a personal donation which would finance the running costs for 2 years.
No.
You worry about this is going to be dirty before they finish. It's just a mummy.
No, but I think this is just something to, yes. And when they finish the main work, they do it again, because it's just to flatten it out and make it even.
It's amazing how quickly they're going.
With more than a month before completion, and nothing more I could do, I got myself a job with the United Nations. A group of us set off to meet the Mujahideen. Mujahideen means holy warrior. They are not one unified force against the government. They are made up of nationalists, monarchists, Islamicists and fundamentalists. There are also Shiite groups, Ismaili groups, Maoists, heroin traffickers, bandits and mercenaries. Their leaders are warlords who act like feudal kings or appoint themselves as field marshals. Sometimes the different groups are too busy fighting and killing each other to bother fighting the government. Often what they are defending are living conditions in a social structure that has not changed in centuries. At first, the Soviets weren't able to defeat them because there were so many groups, and now all those groups can't win because they're so fragmented. Since neither side can win, they both carry on fighting. In Kabul, like everybody, I cursed the Mujahideen for their indiscriminate rocket attacks. But here in the countryside, I was beginning to understand why they are still fighting. How could they possibly forgive the total destruction of entire valleys by Soviet and Afghan carpet bombing? We traveled into the center of Afghanistan, where some communities were on the brink of starvation. The United Nations wanted to get food to them, but first we had to negotiate with the Mujahideen for the safe passage of the trucks that would bring supplies.
Looks as though the whole village is there to greet us. Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum.
باز ایتو شما ختم کن رو خط بریم بودیم به ساغر یه ختم زماد میشه که به ساغر بریم بودیم ساغر رو جنگ هم هست و جنگ توقف کنیسید
دیگه تو جنگ فکر نکنید
ساغر اگر پیش است
تولک بریم
تولک باز بگردیم
تولک باز
میگیم گو تولک کنید نیت بلیسیز تولک
When we returned to Kabul, there was the familiar but ridiculous sight of a line of trucks from the Soviet Union. It was ridiculous because they had traveled through Mujahideen territory. They are able to get through by paying a fee to the rebels. This is supposed to be a city under siege. The government would have been on its knees in months if the Mujahideen closed off the supply route. They obviously don't want to let a war get in the way of free enterprise. I had spent a month in the countryside with the United Nations. In the 4 months I had been in Afghanistan, the weather had changed from a very hot summer towards what was going to be a bitter cold winter. War or no war, winter is a struggle in Kabul, and people were preparing for it. As soon as I got back, I went to the Red Cross hospital to see how Kedar was getting on. I was shocked to discover that he had disappeared. Nobody could tell me where he had gone. When I left, I thought everything was okay. I couldn't believe that he had been pulled out of the rubble of his house and survived to be buried by bureaucracy. The only place I could think to look for him was the local children's hospital.
Abdul Khadat. As Pakman.
Many patients come and go. For this, it's, I think, it's difficult to find here.
But if I look in the wards, it's possible?
Yes, it's possible.
Yeah. Don't wake him up. Relation.
Relative of that people.
Salam.
I tried everywhere, but I couldn't find Kedar. I talked to as many people as I could who might come across him. All I could do was hope that he was all right and he might contact me. People were scrambling for food and fuel. I had hoped that Kedar might have seen winter through in the Red Cross hospital. Months ago, I had invited him to the opening of the new house, which was now finished. It would be difficult to enjoy the big day, not knowing where he was. At last the children's house was ready for them, and the kids were preparing to leave Marastun forever.
تشاشل.
اوكي. شخب. يوم نيب باشه.
خب. یک نروخو.
چی؟
نروخو.
Telling me not to leave? This is the last look at the compound. Bye-bye.
Listen. Now let's start doing it again.
Shakira. Salam. Tufi?
Fanti, fanti, fanti.
Fanti,
fanti. Fanti, fanti.
Maybe it's easy to raise money for sweet-looking children with big eyes. The inmates of Marastan would remain without help, a forgotten people in a forgotten country.
Seis, hey. Salam.
Surprise, surprise. The house was surrounded by dozens of officials. Where they all came from, I don't know, but they had pulled out the red carpet and invited Afghan TV to record the event.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
The first principle is that of humanity. It should cooperate with government, but at the same time be independent.
These are all the boring political statements. Really?
A total stranger to the project had been appointed to publicly open their house by cutting the ribbon. I suggested since it's their house, one of the children should open it. We reached a compromise. The official and the oldest child would both cut the ribbon simultaneously. But in all the confusion, the boy chosen for the ceremony didn't quite understand the details of the arrangement.
I just wanted to say, although I'm very happy at what's happened here, I'm very angry at how these things are used for political occasions to promote the government. This is for children of imprisoned parents, and that's the way that it should stay, without any political connotations and people giving speeches. More friends coming from UNICEF.
A few hours later, when the TV cameras had left and the officials had congratulated each other over a large lunch, the kids settled down to their first ever lesson.
Bali? Inaczej. Bali. Your mother, father, sister and brother?
The children's house was firmly established. They had running costs for 2 years, and I was assured that funds would be available for much longer. I had done what I had come here for, and it had taken nearly 5 months. It was time to leave Afghanistan. Before I left, I wanted to make a last visit to see some friends whose problems will go on for many years to come.
You'll have to increase the surgical teams by 1 with an official fly swatter. I'll apply tomorrow. And what do you think of the future for the country? Can you see an end to the war?
I don't know.
Or what do you think? Do you think it will go on, or?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And what do all these, because they all have had children who've been injured, so what do they say? What would they like to say?
The foot?
Yeah, just all of them. What would they like to say?
کلتان میگه دیگه چی خوش داریم که باید بگوین؟
بیادر چی بگویم میگیم جنگ ده هیچ کس خوش نداره. ما خوش نداریم که جنگ چی میکنیم؟ ما میریم ما بکشیم بچه ما رو باشه نه مجاهد میدن دولت میدن. یعنی در خانه خوشش بودن که تو با اون دولت قدر گل قبول داری.
The one on the right, he's a rocket landed on his house, yeah?
این در راکت شده چی میگه شده؟
در راکت دولت.
راکت.
Government rocket, and the man on the left?
Yeah.
What happened to him?
از شما چی شده بچه تا میگه؟
در راکت مجاهد سعید گل بگی.
So one son was injured by the government and one by the Mujahideen. You know what a dream is? You know, at night, if he has a dream, what would be the best thing he could do?
Yeah. میگه وقتی خواب میبینی چی فکر میکنی؟
دریم میپرندن. صدای من خواب میپرند.
Always he say you dream it in the morning.
He dreams about the mines. But if he could have anything in the world, what would he have?
تو وقت میگه تو میفهمی که چی گشتی؟ تو وقت که من پرنده بود. میفهمیدی؟ چی میفهمیدی؟
He said he wanted his legs back. I didn't know until then that both of his legs had been blown off when he stepped on a mine. Now everything has stopped for winter, even the fighting. The killing season is over until next spring. Then the different factions of the Mujahideen and the militia and the government will resume their battle in the rubble of a country whose population are exhausted by the war, with armed groups who are all claiming to be fighting for their freedom. Most Afghans think the war has never been in their control. They believe the fighting will continue until America and the Soviet Union stop using Afghanistan as a venue for the leftovers of the Cold War that is supposed to have ended. Annie finished her tour of duty in the Red Cross hospital. She immediately applied for another and is still looking for Kadar.